Let's give a big applause to Gianluca, and wish you a good speech.
Thank you so much, Ionut. Thank you. Okay, guys, so thanks, Ionut, for the intro. Just a few words about me. Will be really slow because I don't want to take so much time about myself. Today we are going to talk about an important topic. Everybody of us, we are using ChatGPT and AI in general in our life, but anyone is actually talking about the issues of this technology, right? Because as any innovation, we have the pro and the cons. So, a few things about me. I'm Gianluca. I'm from Naples, but I've been living in Amsterdam from around 4 years, where actually I built 3 startups. The first one is MGS, is a Web3 dev firm. We work with the Ethereum Foundation and Chainlink to implement permissionless smart contracts. Then we have Next Labs, that is a crypto index startup. And there is also NapulETH. I'm one of the founder, one of the major shareholder of this amazing event. So, in a nutshell, today we are going to discuss about, the issues of the AI, right? Why actually, we don't understand what is happening with this world, this sea of actual content generated by AI. What is the main issue? Okay, we still trust in what we see and what we hear, actually. So let's start with a small game. This is a bit easy, okay? AI or real, tell the difference. I think we can all agree that on the right, the one generated by AI, okay? So this is kind of easy. So on the left is a real person, on the right we have an AI content generated. Now we will go a little bit harder, okay? Okay guys, in your opinion, which one is generated by AI or by actually it's a real picture? Any takes? Right AI? Yes. So on the right we have the one generated by AI, and on the left we have the real picture. So as you can understand, the difference is really hard to tell, right? If we see actually another example, this is even harder in my opinion. Okay, in your opinion, which one is AI and or the one that is the real picture? Any takes? Left AI? Actually, it's right. Right is the one with the AI. So as you can understand, it's really hard to discover which content are generated by AI. And if we talk about picture about food, maybe it's not really the issue. But if people, or maybe scammers, or people with bad intention start to create fake documents or fake contents, that might be a big issue, right? So, I like to call this big wave of problems that we are discussing deepfake, right? A deepfake is actually, for me, the dark side of AI, and it is actually the fake content generation about contents that actually you might think are real, but are actually not. So, let's discuss about the associated dangers of AI, okay? So we have, as first, the spread of misinformation, because you might check that actually you think that contents are actually real, but again, there is a misinformation because contents are not real anymore. Then we might have an issue about identity for theft and fraud, actually, and I'm going to tell you an example of this. And also, there is, of course, an issue of manipulation of political and societal opinions. So you can see, we take this example of this funny name that is always everywhere, the name of Mario Rossi. As Italians or maybe international people, we always use Mario Rossi to do examples. So the funny thing is that this guy, called Davide Acampora, made a test to create a fake patent, okay, a fake driving license. This fake driving license actually passed the control. So the police that was controlling the actual document to check if it was real or not, the crazy thing is that this fake AI generated driving license passed the control. So you can understand that immigrants or people that are not actually from that country can fake documents and can fake to be citizens. Do you understand what we are going here? It's a really big issue. So what we are trying to do, and that will be the main focus of this talk, in how we can actually fix this issue, right? Once there is, let's say there is the Nike brand or the Adidas brand or whatever, we always see the C as copyright, right? So as blockchain nerds, we are trying to create something similar. We are trying to create a flag, a badge, a symbol or whatever is actually representing that content is generated by AI. And by content, I mean that could be text, could be video, could be music, could be everything, right? What we need to do, we need to implement a page or a system that actually explains that that content is generated by artificial intelligence. So why this is something that, you know, people are actually not discussing about, government is actually not caring, because, you know, we live in Italy. Most of you are Italians, so we know that, you know, I always love to say that innovation goes as a Ferrari and government goes as a Panda, right? Because every day we have like a new vibe coding tool, we have a new tool actually as you know, that actually can do everything, while on the government side the legislation and the law is always slow. So the main issue about that is actually that the government dependence has always delays, they have always bias, and of course there is also a lack of global interoperability, so governments are not communicating each other, right? So we have this issue that centralized platforms are really vulnerable. So for example, like the most secure thing to verify identity or is some sub with KIC verification, or is like the reCAPTCHA. You know, once you log in to a new website, you have the reCAPTCHA. But guys, like an AI can, can manipulate the reCAPTCHA in a few seconds now. But we understand that the reCAPTCHA is a technology from 2000, and we are in 2025, and we still have the reCAPTCHA. Why is that? Because there is always, like, you know, the limitation around the centralized platform. So we need like something from the government, you know. Of course, the innovation is faster, but we need something from the regions of the governments, as like European Union, as US, and different alliance that needs to come to businesses and to people to say, hey, let's implement this badge or this AI verification system. Okay, now in words we are all good, but in fact, how we can actually implement and verify that those contents are actually generated by AI. And that's why we love blockchain and we love open source technology, because actually thanks to blockchain we have the possibility to verify if a content is generated by AI or not. So the blockchain actually, like, you know, people once, I'm in the crypto industry from 2018. In the beginning was like, okay, Bitcoin was a scam, crypto was a scam. Now, you know, banks are buying it, Trump is sponsoring that, you know, like we have so many endorsements worldwide. But actually, like, I was never so much interested in the speculation. I always loved the tech part, right? As a real nerd, I always loved like the part that actually was everything transparent, everything trustable. So we can apply those value and those fundamentals of the technology as immutability, transparency, to actually also this issue to verify AI contents. So this will be a little bit more technical, so we'll be a dive in the technical part. And let's explain a bit like what actually we are going to discuss. So we have the blockchain that is a data layer, and then we have RC contracts as smart contracts. So we can think as smart contracts as algorithms on top of the blockchain. This smart contract that we're going to discuss is called RC 7007. That me and our company in Amsterdam, we helped the Ethereum Foundation to rewrite with the Ethereum Improvement Proposal 7007. So just in a nutshell, if you don't know how it works, if you want to update a code in blockchain, because it's not decentralized, because it's not centralized, you need a DAO, right? So every time there is a new commit, a new update, you need to submit a proposal to the DAO. Those submissions are called Ethereum Improvement Proposal, EYP. So once you see EYP, is a proposal. Once you see RC, is already accepted. So 1 year ago, this 7007 was a proposal. Now, thanks God, is accepted, so we can use it. So we have the RC 7007 that actually is this model, this algorithm, that might help to actually check content verified and generated by AI. So how it works? So the RC is actually a model on top of the traditional 721. That is the traditional model for NFTs, right? Non-fungible tokens. So you can use NFTs to represent real-world assets as art, music, real estates, and so on. In this case, we are going to use this NFT to represent identity. So this RC 721 will be customized to represent digital identity. Then, actually how we can verify an identity without having troubles with confidential data. With this example, I always love to say the example of the bouncer, okay? All of us goes to club, right? All of us love to dance, to disco, to club and so on. But have you ever thought every time you go to the bouncer, why the bouncer is asking the ID card, right? Like actually, which type of data he needs to check? Just the date of birth, right? Because he needs to check that I'm over 18. While once you give the ID card to the bouncer, he's checking my name, where I live, all my personal data that actually I might be confidential. You know, I don't want to actually share those type of data. So that's why that we enter with the technology as integration of ZK proof, zero knowledge proof technology. This type of technology is amazing because we can show on chain some data and we can actually not highlight other types of data, covering confidential data. So in this case of the example of the bouncer, might be great that I show just a document or a digital identity just with my date of birth, without sharing all those other types of data. So we integrate ZK in this model to avoid to share confidential data. So I have to prove my identity, right? But I don't want to share where I live, how much money I have in my bank account, and so on. So the whole concept of ZK is to show the exact data that the provider needs to check without showing all the other confidential data. Then we have optimistic machine learning, where actually what we do a one-to-one match to match the identity to see if actually is existing, right, the identity. So we are going to check government databases that I don't know if you know, but are public, and you can access them with an API. And the flow is really simple. So we tokenize the identity with the RC 721 standard. The identity becomes a digital identity tokenized in form of NFTs. Then we have ZK to actually highlight the most important data and to don't show confidential data. And then we have the optimistic machine learning to do a match one-to-one to check if that data actually exists and makes sense. Then for the more technical, I have also added a flowchart that explain a bit how actually those flow actually works. So we have the model node that is divided in the machine learning model that actually has an infinite loop of prompts that generate the check if the identity exists in the government database. And then we have the ZK machine learning prover that actually proves that the data exists and hide the confidential data of the person. Because I don't want to share my address in blockchain, right? I don't want that people comes to my house or whatever. Then we have all a WebSocket where you see those type of where you see those type of white thingy. We can call it as WebSocket. Like this is like a WebSocket, while those are the nodes. So the nodes are the machine learning, and this is the ZK machine learning prover. This is all a WebSocket. A WebSocket is just a Docker that runs in loops the algorithms. On the other end, we have the smart contract that actually verify if the data are making sense again, and then we mint in form of NFTs. So why all these guys? Why we actually need all those nerdy, complicated things? This is no worries, this is everything in backend. So you know, the nice thing of technology that everything is in backend. You don't have to actually check nothing on front end. Everything will be in backend. In a few clicks, all this process will be run. What you see in front end is actually a dashboard where you can upload your text, where you can upload your picture, where you can upload your video or your music or whatever. And you are going to have a message to check if that text is generated by AI or not. As we have right now with the text, right? There is like ChatGPT or there is GPT-0 that might check if your text is generated by AI or not. Imagine the same concept, but applied everywhere for every type of content. And also we are going to add this badge on top of the content. Then, we talked about in the theory, right? But I really like tangible things, okay? Which type of real-world application we can have, right? So, in a tangible way, in my opinion, one of the most important practical use cases is the securing the journalistic integrity. Because I remember when there was the in US that there was like, you know, all Trump against Kamala race and so on. Online were circulating a lot of fake videos about Trump, or how many times you are getting contacted from Indian scammers or whatever strange scammers on Instagram that you're like, oh, win $100 with the face of Elon Musk or whatever. That's all the issue about deepfake, right? So the concept here is like to try to securing journalistic integrity. So all this flow of the RC7007 to verify AI contents can be applied for journalistic integrity. So it will be really nice to check that that journal or that data that we're reading is actually verified and actually is a real data. Then we have, of course, reliable social media verification. How many influencers now are doing AI contents? Come on, we are already having AI influencer. You know, we are already having like people that were faking their picture, modifying them. Now we have also AI influencer. Guys, this is too much, you know? So we really need to understand how prove that that data is real. Then other practical use cases. I have just 5 minutes, so I will be a little bit faster. We have protecting intellectual property, preventing academic plagiarism. All of us, we use ChatGPT for our essays, but you know, in the long term, I don't know if it's really good at. So we need something to prove that those contents are real. And then, of course, enabling trusted voting systems, because now AI bots are used to vote. If you want to buy a new shoes, let's say a new drop of the Air Jordan, we are going to have thousands of bots of AI that are going to spam the actual form. Also, like not just for voting system, for every time of system that actually we need to buy something online, or any type of interaction that we need to do online, can be flagged and can be manipulated by AI bots. So we love AI agents, but we need to try to moderate them. That's all the point. So all this to say that we need to implement, you know, those type of technology to increase trust in digital transaction. So we can verify that a transaction is made by a human. And then, of course, to try to make more responsible and uncountable AI contents creations. The conclusion is that, you know, we need more trust in the era of digital age. Because, guys, in 5 years, trust me, if we don't start to use blockchain to verify AI contents, it's not in 5 years, like in 2 years, we will be not able to see what is AI or what is not AI, okay? So that's why we're pushing with governments, especially in Netherlands, and I'm trying to do my best also in Italy, to try actually to start to implement those type of implementary technologies to try to verify those type of AI content generation. Because otherwise, sorry for the word, in a few years we are completely fucked, and we will know which content is generated by AI or not. Then, you know, we need to support the adoption of this RC7007 that me and my company helped to write. And of course, like, it's important to understand, I just made this state, funny thing with ChatGPT. So I used the AI to verify this content. You know, blockchain is just technology, is a trust engine in the age of AI. Now, what we need to come next with integration, collaboration, and civic empowerment to try actually to implement those type of AI content verification. Now, my talk I think is arrived to an end, and I don't know which type. Like, actually, I'm really happy because last year I didn't have so many people in the stage. It's a bit crowded, so GG all. And we have different type of people here. Okay. We have the designer, we have Web3 newcomer or like newbies, we have crypto founders, and we have Web3 industry people. So all of us, if you have any question, we have like a few minutes, and I'm happy to answer you. Thank you so much.